Hey, this is Matt once again. What about in the video? This is another paid request, this time for David. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, reactions, lists, rankings, topics, reviews, re-reviews, randomness, out of the blueness, commentaries, the reactions, anything in between, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for a TV show I never heard of called Into the Night, which got 2 seasons. This is season 1. And I will say what helped with this was that it was only 6 episodes. And episodes about 30 some. Like the first one was about 40 some, the other was about 30 some minutes apiece. Stranger Things should have learned from that. Like when they did their new season, like you should look at a show like this and learn a thing or two. Because that way it did help with the pacing. Now it is a foreign show, so if you do watch it, there's a little bit of English, but it's mostly other languages, like Belgian and other languages. Pretty much the gist of it is you have a group of characters that are getting on this airplane. You have the lead lady. She is going back with an urn that has her husband's ashes in it. You have this one guy who, I don't know why, for some reason I thought he looked like Bruce Dern. He is going because he thinks he's going to meet this woman, where you find out is one of those fake models, this Russian woman. You have this guy who you find out is a gangster. You have the pilot, who you find out that he was cheating on his wife. But he's also one of the guys kind of helping, along with the lady, lead this group of people. You have this woman who's like an internet influencer. And you have this one guy who very easily, it seems, is able to hit someone, steal their machine gun, get on the plane, and pretty much tells them, we need to go. We need to go west. We need to go into the night, away from the sun. So ultimately they do it. They get hijacked. The guy has the machine gun. The plane takes off. A good chunk of the show takes place on this plane. There are a couple times they land for certain things, but it's mostly on this plane. And you come to find out the reason this guy wants to go west is because the sun is killing people. The sun is killing people, and it can also, like, it messes up the food and the fruit. It can mess up the fuel. Now the whole science behind it fucking flew over my head. It's just kind of the sun, and I don't know if I say they try to, I guess maybe people pontificate in 1 or 2 scenes what it could be. I honestly was lost. I guess you just take it with, you know, just the sun. I will say that kind of hurt it because I didn't really feel the threat. I mean, it's the sun. The sun's going to kill you. It was hard to feel the threat. It's not like something physical you could see. It's not like something physical, so like if it's getting closer, it could build that tension and suspense. I mean, it's like the wind trying to kill you and the happening, or what's in the wind, or whatever it is. What's carrying from the trees, via the wind. But I will say this is much better than happening, because the acting is actually pretty good. And it does a decent enough job building the characters. Just like the lead girl, you find out, well, this is spoilers. Go watch the trailer. And with that synopsis, if it interests you, it'll take you probably a little over 4 hours to watch the whole season 1. Because it did, like I said, 6 episodes, which I'm thankful they didn't overindulge and overdo it. So spoilers. Like the lead girl, you find out throughout it that when she was going to do where she was going to kill herself. So the irony is that the girl that was going to end her life kind of becomes the one who's helping save these folks, helping fly the plane with the pilot. She becomes a co-pilot, is helping leading the group to the safety near the end of the season. And with each episode, they give a little bit of flashback to a certain character. So like in one episode, they give a flashback to the gangster. In one episode, they give a flashback to the, I guess you call kind of religious guy. The guy who, again, you find out he got catfished. One episode, a little background of the pilot. And as I said, the actors I thought did their jobs well. And, you know, there's a little bit of racism and stuff in there, but they don't go too far into that, which I'm glad for. It's more about the tension of what's going on and how anytime they think they got things settled, something worse happens. So they think maybe this guy's crazy, but then they realize there's like these planes on the ground, they're on fire. It's like, oh, maybe this guy's, there's something to it. They're able to get on the internet. Oh my God, there's people that have been going through this. Oh, there's these 3 soldiers, but then you find out the 3 soldiers, they were able to look it up. There's some backstory about they might have sexual or murder. But thankfully they don't go into this whole men are bad. They don't go into any of that stuff that people, filmmakers in the U.S. do. It's more about the situation at hand. It's about getting supplies, dealing with these soldiers. Can we trust them? Can we not trust them? If we can't trust them, how do we get them away? Again, you have the gangster. We learn more about him. He's got a bit of a moral code. Like there's this mom and sick kid, and this gangster treats the sick kid very well. And you realize that yeah, he's done bad things, but he's got some morality to him. They're leaving the soldiers, but then one of the windows breaking, and it's like, wait a minute, we can't go too high, otherwise it'll depressurize. So how do we fix that? Oh, there's something going on with the equipment. Oh, there must be a soldier underneath. Like in the underbelly, we gotta go take care of it. Hey, can we trust this gangster guy because one of the people he was with who died of, I forget what, his belly had emeralds in it and the gangster got it because it's something he needed to have. But then, you know, hey, this guy has a tendency for survival, so maybe we should let him go. The food's no longer fresh. The fuel's affected. The pilot, because he got wounded earlier in the season by the machine gun guy, he comes down with a fever because of the wound and sepsis, and it is one thing after the other, and these characters trying to figure out how to get over this situation. And again, while sometimes when you, I guess it depends on how you feel about a movie that takes place on a plane for most of the time. Some people will be bored with it because it's a combat situation. There are movies that have done it well. Non-stop with Liam Neeson I really enjoy. You know what, people may get mad, I actually enjoyed The Landoliers. I will say though, the special effects of the monsters are absolute piss and balls. And I think that was the criminal mistake of that. I like that because I like the cast, Dean Stockwell and David Morse, and I do like the cast in that. Bronson Pinchot's overacted his ass off, but he's pretty entertaining. And I like the story, the idea. They should never have showed the monsters in that movie. the miniseries. Well, yes, 2 night, about 3 hours. They never should have showed the monster. That was their biggest mistake. If they had never shown the monster and just make it, what's the word? Implied. I think it would have worked out better. And from what I understand, they're going to use puppetry, but then someone had the bright idea to say CGI, and it's like CGI at that time, and they look like shitty Pac-Man. It is some of the worst effects. It's just, I like the movie, but those are So people ask, what's a movie you like with garbage effects? The Langoliers is one of them. But sorry, I just figured out this is the plain thumb. So I do like that. Like I said, I guess it depends on how the characters grab you. And I will say the terrors were somewhat interesting and decent because the acting was decent. There wasn't anyone I thought in here that did a bad job. I will say it piques your interest to see what new problems going to be happening next. What do they need to do to overcome the problem? Again, the whole science behind what's going on may be very, very suspect. It may turn people off, be like, what the fuck is this? If you don't expecting action, it's not that type of show. It's not an action show. It's not a horror show. I guess you could say drama, bit of suspense. But I would say the initial idea and the piqued interest to see where it would go is, and I do think they did a decent enough job building up the characters. And no, there's no woke shit in it. It's a Netflix show with no woke shit in it, so there's that as well. Since that's the thing a lot of these fucking things do nowadays. And I mean, it ends with, by the end of it, I would say, before I get into that, the characters that I kind of was intrigued the most was probably the gangster guy. Just like you see a flashback that he knew a guy who knew these women that worked for him, and a guy hurt a woman, so our gangster guy just like a whip and whips the shit out of him in retaliation for that. And the way he interacts with the mom and kid, and the mom saying, hey, if I can't carry the kid, you have to carry it. Which I will say, and I said the spoilers, that at least they didn't go the typical route where, oh, I guess the mom will die. Nope, that didn't happen, so I'm actually kind of surprised they did not go that typical route. Because again, I just assumed, well, I guess that means the mom's going to die. No, no. So, give credit to that. Like I said, the lead girl I didn't mind. The pilot I didn't mind. And him trying to keep things at bay. I don't really know why they had a flashback where he cheated on his wife, because as far as I know, nothing really comes of that. That he was with adultery. Nothing really comes of that, so then it makes me go, why is I even here in the first place? Unless I missed it, that never comes up into any type of play in the season. So, I guess they just wanted something extra for the character, but like I said, I don't really know if that really gets played into the plot. That's not that I remember. Like the woman with her lover being an urn, that does, because again we find out that she wanted to kill herself. There's this other guy who he's missing his wife, who they wanted to get her pregnant. They wanted to have kids, and one of them's like, no, let's not listen to this guy Machine Gun, because I want to go back because I want to see if my wife's okay. And there's a bit where the lead girl and him, I think his name is Jacob, she's like kind of ready to kiss him, but he's like, no, that's not right. I apologize. No, I did it. Hey, what you've been through, what's going on, I did it. So, there's a little bit of that going on. One thing I gotta mention that I thought was interesting is when you get to the last episode, there's two groups. The gangster was beaten up and left for dead by the machine gun guy. But then the gangster, has a will to survive. He's able to get back on the plane. They tie the machine guy up. They get into two separate. They go. The gangster guy, because his wounds, he gets woozy, crashes the car. So they gotta go on foot, and they both go into this bunker and by different ways. And the irony is, the lead girl gets the, I wish I could remember his name. I just keep calling Machine Gun Guy to push a button and unlock it. But then she actually handcuffs the guy, has him stay there because she doesn't trust him. And I find that the biggest irony is that this guy saved all your lives. I mean, that's technically it. It's true. This guy saved all your lives. This guy, if this guy didn't get on the plane, and this guy didn't have a machine gun, and he didn't tell you what to do, granted it's to save his own ass, but still, if he didn't say anything, if he didn't do anything, you all would be dead. You'd be dead, dead. And again, the fact, it seemed that I did not trust him the most, but at the same time, there was a time where you guys didn't trust the gangster 100% either. And again, this guy did save your life, so. And I think if you get into the bunker and safety, I don't think he would be. There'd be no reason for him to try to do something. So I don't know 100% if that was justified for the lead girl to do. I still don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say he was a nice guy, and you could say he was a bit of a prick, but they handcuffed the guy to stay there and to be roasted alive, pretty much, however the sun kills you. Did I forget? I don't know if it was justified. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say I liked the character, so I guess I was indifferent. But I'm thinking, was that really justified? Was that really? But again, it's definitely irony. Again, the guy who wanted to survive, the guy who kind of helped you all survive, he's the one that dies. So, there you go. I was surprised more of the cast didn't die. I don't know, for some reason I assumed more of the cast would die. But not really, so I was a bit surprised. I mean, there's a couple smaller, smaller characters, as in they don't have a lot of screen time. But for the most part, the main group, which there's like 9, 10 of them that made it. Definitely a good chunk of them. So. I know there's a season 2, but I have a feeling that wouldn't have as much gusto. Because the plane scenario is what made it interesting. Because I mentioned that before, like how you feel about that. I do like the airplane scenario. TV shows have done that. I mean, there's the episode of The Dead Zone that took place on a plane. There's an episode of Monk that took place on a plane. There's plane movies like Air Force One and Flight Plan. I don't mind. Non-Stop I like. Executive Decision's horrible, but still. Passenger 57, pretty decent. I think because the airplane is just, it's dangerous because of how high it is and all the dangerous situations you get into, depressurization, but at the same time it's claustrophobic in a way that there's just not really many places to go, and you to really focus your location, and Oh, just to be a very, if done the right way, a fitting place where you could maybe create tension or create suspense or character moments. And if done well, of course. And so if the next season's in a bunker, I just don't think that would be as interesting to me, to be perfectly honest. That's just me, though. But over into the night, season 1, I didn't mind. Did not mind. Once in a while, you saw an airplane shot, like when they're looking over. It's not, 100% concrete effects. Like I said, the science, maybe a bit dodgy. But overall, yeah, I did not mind it. Didn't mind it at all. So, it was interesting enough. And like I said, at least compared to a lot of Netflix shows, it's definitely a bit better paced. 6 episodes, for the most part, 30-some minutes apiece. That was the right call. Didn't overstay its welcome. Wasn't a complete chore. So I appreciate that aspect. At the end, it wasn't just constant yelling either. Like people just yelling at each other at the end, at the end. It is a lot of we gotta work together. And that's really how we survive, is by working together. And that's kind of the big justification, really at the end of the day of this season, is the reason they're able to do it is because they work together to solve each problem. And people getting their moments to shine. I thought that was the right way to do it. And it didn't make the characters annoying by just bitching about every 5 seconds about something. Which you could fall into that trap easily. And I'm glad they didn't. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.